Hi guys, welcome back. We are back on this old heat. I have got a new starter for it. I went ahead and took the old one off. We're going to try to go with one of these mini high torque starters, and hopefully that'll help a lot with our starting issues we've been having. I've looked at the flywheel. It doesn't look like it has any messed up teeth, so I don't know. We shall see. But I need to get under there and make sure it's clocked right, because this starter, you can change how it's, like how this part is clocked. So I'm gonna see if I need to turn it out, because I put one of these on that 400 engine over there because I was having kind of the same issues on it, and it really worked really good. I really liked it, so I'm hoping that that does the same thing for this car. And while I was under there, I looked, and the vacuum hose for the vacuum modulator on the transmission was off. So that's probably why it wouldn't shift out of first the other day when we attempted to drive it. So hopefully the next time we drive it, maybe that'll be cured. It still doesn't solve my rear end problem, but maybe that'll solve my transmission problem. But if I can get it to where it's starting good and we can start it and see, you know, I need to double check the fluid in the transmission and all that good stuff. I did take this car to the muffler shop and get the exhaust pipe fixed on it that was broke and rattling around, so that is good. So it's not trying to fall off anymore. Got shocks, so when I do get ready to do the front suspension stuff, I'll have pretty much everything for that. But I'm gonna try to get under there and see, make sure this thing's gonna fit, and make sure we don't have to change how it's clocked on there. But I'm hoping it just bolts right on, but you know, nothing's never that easy for me. Oh, one other thing too, I did get a trunk lock for it, so we can open the trunk with a key instead of a screwdriver. So that'll be nice. I got the door locks for the doors too, but I haven't put them in yet. But anyway, I'm gonna get back on this starter and see what we can come up with. So we're gonna have to clock it that way a little bit. It's hitting the block like right here, so there's little Allen head bolts inside there, and I think you can turn that whole thing and maybe give us a little clearance there. So we're going to try that and see how that works. So fingers crossed, I guess. All right, so I got the starter on and mounted. I did have to clock it one hole over to get it to fit. I think I got it shimmed how it needs to be. So we're going to see how this thing starts, or if it'll start, or if it's still making that god-awful grinding noise when we try to start it. It should start if everything's right. Oh yeah, that's much better. Oh yeah, much better. Oh goodness. So I don't know, like I said, if there's just something wrong with this starter, or maybe, you know, I had put some shims in it and tried to get it. I don't know what's going on with it, but it looks like the teeth are pretty chewed up on it. Like and that thing's got a lot of slack in. I think there's a bushing that goes on there. I wonder if that just, yeah, I bet that was the problem there. So, but anyway, whatever, it's fixed now. I guess it doesn't matter, you know, what was going on before, as long as it works now. So, and I did get the modulator hooked up, and it was hooked up here. It's just hooked to a vacuum port in the intake back here. So I think I'm gonna let it down and maybe let it run for a little bit and double check the fluid and kind of go from there. So fingers crossed, wish me luck. Well, I forgot about the shifter being messed up, so I took all this off of the shifter. This is like for the lockout. but it broke this piece off of the shifter, so this was just dangling, and I could never get it to operate this part, which keeps it from, you know, because you have to like pull up or push down on this depending on what gear you're trying to go into. So I just took all that off because we really struggled the other day on our attempt to drive this. So, which I know it's kind of dark in here, but at least I can move the shifter now. It's still kind of stiff, but that's reverse. That should be drive, so we can at least go back and forth from reverse to drive if we have to, until I figure out what I'm going to do about a shifter. I have this shifter and this console, which is out of a 70 Pontiac like these, that I might try to put in this car so I at least have a console, but that'll be later on because I want to do like sound deadener and carpet and new, you know, different seats and everything. So we may just leave that one that's in there for now if it'll work long enough, because I mean, I don't figure we're gonna be driving it a whole lot in the near future. But anyway, I think that's kind of the plan, if I can make that one work. But when we start doing stuff to the inside of the car, that's probably what we'll do. But yeah, this is just cheap, flimsy crap. So, but I'm sure that shifter is binding up a little bit, and that's probably what caused this to break. But anyway, now I'm going to try to let it start it and let it run for a little bit and check the transmission fluid. I got sidetracked. Okay, you remember when I said I thought I had checked the transmission fluid before? Apparently I was wrong. There is nothing on the stick. And of course I have absolutely zero transmission fluid here anywhere. I thought I had a whole jug of it somewhere, but I don't know if I used it on something or just misplaced it. But anyway, so I gotta get some transmission fluid, and it needs a little bit of fuel. I think it's, let's see, it's got just a tad over empty, but I don't know how accurate this gauge is anyway. I mean, it's one I installed, so it's probably not perfect. But anyway, so that's kind of where we are. I gotta get some fluids for this thing, and then hopefully we can drive it again. And I hope the transmission ain't hurt. And we know the rear end's junk, but I'm really hoping that the transmission will survive for a little while. Like I said, eventually we're gonna have to make a decision on the running gear in this car anyway, but I'd really like for it to be a driver for a little while. I'm sure that once I put whatever motor and transmission I want to put in it, or whatever I decide on, I'll probably just order a 9-inch like I did for this car. But I don't really want to spend that money right now. I'd like to find maybe just a used one somewhere that'll bolt in, that's not, you know, trying to come apart. But it's getting really hard to find used parts. Nobody's got anything for these cars anymore. But anyway, so I guess, bad as I hate to, I'm gonna have to run to town and get some stuff, so we'll get back at it when I get back. All right, so it's a few days later. I think where we left off, I needed transmission fluid, so I went and got that. Got some fuel, got to put some fuel in it. And I know in one of the other videos we tried to put these are 8s with 275/60s on this car, and they would not fit. And I talked about having to order some or whatever, so I haven't done that yet. I have contacted the company and made sure they could do what I wanted, and they're, you know, it's probably gonna be a month getting them. So I went ahead and picked up some 7s and put some 225s on them. So we're gonna put those on the back so we can at least have a matching set. And which I inadvertently lied to y'all about the front wheels. I thought those were 7s, but those are 6s. So it still will have a little bit wider wheel on the back with a little bit bigger tire. It just won't be the 275s yet. I'm still determined to put 275s on the back of this, but that kind of leaves me with extras. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put those 7s on the back of this car while I'm waiting for my other ones to be made. And then when I get those, we'll take those 7s off and put them with these 8s. And those will probably go on this car. With, let's see, what did I think they're up here. Hang on, I can't reach them. Whoop, careful, careful, careful. Well, this is turning into a cluster. But these bad boys, these are the ones for like GTOs and stuff like that. So I think those will look good on this car, especially if we paint it black or flat black it or whatever. I think those will look pretty cool. So anyway, and that still leaves me with a full set of rallies, which if you stay tuned, I have a little surprise coming up in probably the next video, but I have something for those to go on. But you'll have to wait for the next video to see that. But anyway, I'm gonna get these wheels swapped over, put some fuel in it, and put some transmission fluid in it. And if the rain will hold off for a little bit, we'll try for the 3rd time to make the first drive in this car. So I'm gonna try to make sure that the transmission will shift here in the shop. I'll probably just put on jack stands or something and try to run through the gears before we get it out on the road again. But anyway, that's the plan. So that looks pretty good, right? I mean, it's not the big fat tires under the back like I wanted yet, but we'll get there. And still got to do all the front end stuff and get the front end down a little bit, but I like it. But it definitely, ooh man, it definitely sits up too high in the front, but we're gonna fix that. And I really like how that looks. It's weird how when you get older your taste change. You know, you just think everything had to have like cool wheels and stuff, but I'm really digging the poverty caps and the steel wheels. I really like that look. It's growing on me. Alright, well I got fuel and everything in it, so I'm going to try to get some transmission fluid in it, let it run, get it up to operating temp, and see if this transmission is going to work. Fingers crossed. Alright, we're going to let that loud thing run for a few minutes and get to operating temperature. And I put a couple quarts in it so far, and it still is a little low. So we're going to let it run for a minute, and then fingers crossed, maybe we can go drive it. Of course, I don't know. If it starts raining, we won't be able to because I don't have no wipers, but hopefully it will. We'll see. All right, here we go. I don't know if it's going to work or not, but we'll give it a shot again. Well, this thing is loud and smokes. Oh my goodness. My eyes are burning. Second. I think third. Ooh, that rear end sounds terrible. Can you hear it? It's just on diesel though. Go-kart goes down the road pretty good though. Still got oil pressure. My temp gauge is not, I don't know why I can't get a temp gauge that works. Bolts are good. It's a little floaty. I figure the shocks on the front ain't worth a damn. I have no idea if y'all can hear me over this loud ass car. coast, man, it's loud. I don't like that at all. That's bad. Well, if it'll just stay together long enough to get me home, I think I'm gonna go ahead and turn around here. Like something got squirrely all of a sudden in the front end. Yeah, we definitely got a long way to go on this old car. Alright, I'm gonna set the phone down. It feels like I need both hands, but we'll be back in the shop in just a second anyway. Alright, we made it back. Whew. Ah, damn it. I'm stuck. Hang on a minute. Whew. Well, we made it back. It was interesting to say the least, but I mean, it does drive now. Not very well. And the transmission shifts real sluggish. The rear end sound like it's about to come apart. It's a little squirrely, but you know, the old motor's a turd and this thing has no power. Of course, the exhaust is so loud, and it's that annoying loud. It doesn't sound good. It's just loud, obnoxious loud. So I don't really like that. But anyway, we did make it more than 100 yards this time, so that's a plus. I don't know. We maybe put a couple miles on it. Maybe, I don't know. Yeah, we got a lot of stuff to do this thing. But anyway, we did make a road trip in it down the highway. So, I mean, that's what we were shooting for. And, I mean, we did. But definitely got to kind of evaluate it and get more of an idea of what all the car needs. We know it needs rear end, needs transmission, needs suspension work, needs a different motor, needs different exhaust, needs a lot of just little piddly things like door seals and stuff to kind of cut down on all that rattling. Definitely need to seal the cabin up a little better because the fumes, I got a headache just from the little short drive we took. So, but anyway, I mean, it is what it is. I knew the old car was kind of rough when I got it, and I wanted to put a different motor and stuff in it anyway. But I did think that this one would do a little better, and we could drive it around a little bit till we either built something or found something else. So that may kind of speed up the timeline because it's not drivable like, you know, like if I wanted to go into town in it or nothing. I mean, I wouldn't do that with the rear end the way it is and the way the front end is and as loud as it is. I mean, it's not feasible. I mean, it's fine just, you know, run down the road here in front of the house, but anyway, so now I got to come up with a plan of attack on this thing. So we'll get all that figured out pretty soon, but I do think that's kind of where I'm going to leave this video. I did want to be able to say I drove this car, so I can say that now. I'm not as excited about it as I was expecting to be, but you know, it is what it is. But I really think with a different rear end, and if it had quieter exhaust and a different rear end and we get the front end done, I mean, we could still drive it a little bit. So we may try that first before we just tear it all to pieces. So anyway, y'all stay tuned. I do have something coming up. Ooh, boy, I'm shaking the hell out of this camera. Anyway, I do have something else coming up. I did pick up a new project, so that'll probably be the next video introducing that. We'll still be working on the Ventura and this other car. And of course, the gray car still needs a few little piddly things, but nothing too major. But I appreciate everybody watching. Please subscribe, like, share, hit the bell so you get notifications, and we'll see you on the next one. Go work on your junk.